Our teachers want to provide a learning environment that is second to none, and our ability to help them do that with the type of furniture that lets them involve students in any activity that they create and they think is going to be effective for student learning and to engage students and help students be enthusiastic is going to make all the difference.
I think what's going on today is that there is a move from what has historically been what I call a sage on the stage model of teaching, where the classrooms are set up as if there's one expert in the front of the room and everybody is just sitting there opening their brains, taking stuff in, and that's giving way to more of what I call a guide on the side learning model, where the kids are not just learning from the teacher, but learning from their peers, and they're doing so in very application and project-oriented classroom settings.
It's really all about application now, I think, especially with Common Core and the standards of mathematical practice. They really want students to be able to explain what they're thinking. When students can actually talk about what they're learning, explain to people, hear other people explain it, especially their peers, not just the teacher, I do think it really opens up a whole new level of understanding. The kids are really eager to learn here, and they want to follow directions. However, when I would try to get kids to talk in class and discuss a problem or work on a problem together, it was always really difficult for the students to do that in the way that our classrooms were set up with the old furniture.
With the other furniture where the chair is attached to the table, I felt very constricted. It was really hard for me to have the kids work collaboratively. It works really well if they're working on their own, but to try and get them to work with each other was really frustrating. Even if I would have them move the desks together and say work with a partner, they still are not particularly close.
I was trying to figure out a way to get my kids to more easily access each other in the room. Because when I first came here, the way the classrooms were set up was just rows of seats where they're all separated by a certain amount. The kids in the back kind of had to do this number to see around the kids in front of them. And I was constantly pushing the desks into partners, which the kids hated, because then one person was trapped inside the little partnership.
I applied for a grant for this furniture with 3 other teachers based on another teacher last year who did it. And we just loved how we could see what she was doing in her room and how it was really helping her instruction. And so I really felt like out of all the things that I could choose to get to help my students, I felt like this would be the thing that would help them the most. And since I've got them, it's been so great. The day that they got them, I could tell immediately the amount of mathematical conversation just went like this.
They are just more comfortable in the desks. They can move around, they don't feel trapped. And I noticed that they're less distracted and fidgety when they feel comfortable in the seat that they're learning in.
When they are sitting either in a partnership or in a group or in a circle, it's just the physical space makes them feel like they're part of what's going on as opposed to just being receivers of information. And then they're getting feedback from their peers too. If they're right next to someone and they're doing something and they can look right there and they see that the person next to them is doing something completely different, that's giving them feedback without me having to be there.
Because it's easier for me to move around in the classroom, I am checking in with more students every day. I'm having one-on-one conversations with probably every student in my class every single day. What I notice now is the transition time to get into groups or to move out of groups or to switch stations if they're in stations is so much less. I'm saving on those lessons at least 5 minutes out of my day, which is huge. That's enough for me to check in with at least 10 students.
Another thing that's great about this is because we have a lot of room sharing with increased enrollment is that it gives each individual teacher an opportunity to have the desks to suit the needs of whatever they're doing with their students.
Over the next few years, our enrollment is going to continue to grow. And because we don't get additional funds for additional enrollment, we need to be very careful with our funds. Things like new furniture are very expensive. And so to be able to have the foundations help for the type of furniture that we think leads to the best learning is immeasurable in terms of the impact it's going to have both now and for years to come.
This furniture has not only made me a better teacher, it's helped me to interact with more of my students every day, but it's also helped the students to learn. They're talking, they're explaining, they're learning from each other, they're teaching each other, and I just feel really grateful to the Redwood Foundation, because without them, we would have never been able to have this in our classrooms. And it's really changed my classroom and my teaching for the better this year.